Hey y'all, welcome back to Spoken Like a True Goddess podcast. It's me, your host Shekinah. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope everyone's feeling great and doing great. Before we get started, if you're listening to any of the podcast streaming platforms, if you could leave a 5-star review, and if you're watching from YouTube, hey, and also subscribe, like, and comment. Our light is our most valuable asset. It's one of the very few things in this world that you can buy, so it's invaluable. It's priceless. And people will try to drain that, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. So today we're going to talk about how to stay radiant and how to protect your light. The issue with being a high vibrational person or a highly capable person or someone who operates in higher frequencies is that your light attracts a lot of people. And people will try to use that to make their life easier. And if you're unaware of what you carry, or you struggle with people pleasing or being the good girl or abandonment and rejection, you will be used. The thing is, highly capable people usually become this way because from a very young age, they realized that no one was going to save them. If they didn't make it happen, it just wasn't going to happen. And when you have grown up that way, or if you've been in different situations where you had to be the only person to pull yourself up, you learn very quickly how to maneuver through life. And people who struggle with that, or people who don't have the same grit that you have, they will see this as a come up. They'll see you as a come up, as a walking lick. So you have to find ways to protect your energy and protect your light from these people. A lot of times when you have gone through so many scenarios that you had to pick yourself up from, you make it look easy. You look untouchable. You look like, oh, wow, you're just gliding through life and nothing bad must happen to you. But that's not the case. We know that's not the case. We know that you're just a person who knows how to make situations better for themselves. You're not a person who's going to sit around, complain, sit around, feel hopeless, and things like that. You know how to maneuver through life to get what you deserve, to get done what needs to be done. But when some people see you and they see that everything looks easy for you, this looks like a life of ease, they can feel entitled to that. They have a mentality of, oh, wow, life was hard for me. It's easy for this person. So I need this person to help me, or this person should help me because life is hard for me and not for them. And they'll try to cash in on your life. Being around these type of people is extremely exhausting because if you don't speak up or if you don't create strong boundaries, they'll just take from you and you'll suffer in silence. But they'll get their needs met. And then if you are the type of person who has strong boundaries, you're constantly explaining your boundaries, constantly have to enforce your boundaries, which is equally as exhausting. So in each scenario, it's just very difficult to deal with these type of people. I personally run a very strict program, but I haven't always been like this. And when it comes to work, business, things of that nature, I've pretty much always been black and white and very strict and operate with really strong boundaries. But when it comes to relationships, friendships, and more matters of the heart, I operate in a lot of gray areas. But I noticed that when I had my son, I began to have stronger boundaries, especially being a single mom. I realized very quick that no matter the scenario, the situation, nobody's coming to save you. And you can sit around and you can make excuses for your situation or feel sorry for yourself, or you can do what you have to do to live the life that you always imagine. And when I took on that mindset, I got a little more strict in my relationships and my friendships and things of that nature. So with people that I have relationships that are more, heart centered relationships, family, friends, and things of that nature, I operate in gray. I'm usually always the go-to person, and I will bend over backwards for people I love. But when I had my son, I was like, you know, if anything goes wrong, I'm not going to be able to depend on these people to help me. Or if I exert myself too much in this area and something goes left, then that's going to affect my son directly. And I wasn't going for that. So I learned very quickly to set strong boundaries around what I can give in those situations. Before I had my son, I had very weak boundaries when it came to friends, family, and situations like that, of who I could help, who I couldn't help, or who I could be there for, who I couldn't be there for. But as life got more serious for me, I was able to create stronger boundaries. And I don't know, it's like becoming a mother just gave me a strength that I never thought I had. Like it gave me a confidence and a purpose. Before, my time was my time. My energy was my energy. It's like if anything goes left, go wrong, I could pick myself back up because it's just me. But having someone else depend on you and trust you that much, it really changed a lot for me. And it made me realize there's a difference between being kind and being nice. Now, I believe I'm naturally a kind person. I have a soft heart towards many situations. I'm always willing to help and things of that nature. But as I start navigating, I realized that I'm not very nice. Kindness is usually rooted in more authenticity. I'm not doing this because I need anything from you. I'm not doing this to control a situation. I may come off a little rough around the edges because I'm not trying to manipulate you to do anything. I have my boundaries of what I can and I cannot do. So I'm not trying to be nice. I'm not trying to be light. I'm just naturally a kind person. It's just my nature to be kind. But if my kindness cannot be used by you or you're offended because I can't overexert myself, that's okay. I'm not going to feel bad about not being able to do something or bad that I can't meet your need in that way because I'm just operating from a natural state of mind. I'm just operating from a state of kindness. Niceness is usually rooted in people pleasing, low self-esteem, and even manipulation. A lot of people who you meet who initially come off as nice, they're highly manipulative. They're trying to control a situation, they're trying to lower your guard, and they're trying to get a certain outcome from that situation. So you'll notice highly narcissistic and manipulative people in public, they always come off as nice. People who are usually kind and more authentic, they usually come off a little bit rough around the edges. That's why I also believe that people who are nice and who always want to be liked by people and they go into situations like, oh, well, I'm nice, I was being nice and da da da. They're also being manipulative and trying to control a situation. So you also want to be on alert for people like that. Never let your guard down just because someone comes off as nice. The nicest people are usually the highly manipulative people. People who operate from kindness, they're nice, but with boundaries. So you're not going to manipulate their emotions to get something out of them. You're not going to play on the fact that they're nice to get your way with them. I'm a kind person because this is how I like to show up in the world. But I have a budget of what I can offer in this situation. And no matter the situation, you're not going to pull my strings to do more than I can do. Recently, I was put in a situation and I still feel a way about it. So one day I met this woman very casually. And we were talking, we were having a conversation just about mom stuff and things of that nature. A few days later or so, a couple of weeks later, I seen her and she asked me about my skincare routine. She was saying she was having a breakout and she was asking me about my skincare routine. So I was like, okay, like no problem. I'm going to send you my Amazon storefront, which all my skincare stuff is in my Amazon storefront, y'all. But anyways, so I texted to her, and I didn't even bother saving her number or anything like that. Because like I said, our interactions have been very casual. Okay, cool. So a few weeks after that, it was very early in the morning. And when I say early, it was before 9 o'clock. Okay. So it's early in the morning, and I get a phone call, and I didn't know who was calling, but it was a local area code. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I pick up the phone. So I'm like, hello. And she's just hysterical. She's frantic. She's hysterical. And she's like, oh, and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, like, I need your help. I need your help. Da da da. And I'm like, okay, like, calm down. What's going on? And keep in mind, I'm not at home at this time or anything. So I'm just like, what's going on? Like, is this something like, what's going on? So she's like, oh, like they're here. They're gonna take my car. Like, I need some money for the car, and oh, cause they're gonna take it, and then like I could pay you back, and da da da. And I'm like, what? Like, you need help? Like, well, how much do you need? Like, and I'm like, again, like, this is like a very, like, she's highly emotional. I'm confused on what's going on and all sort of stuff. So I'm like, well, how much is it? And then she's like, oh, I need $1,000. 1,000 US dollars. Like, you're really hitting me up this morning for 1,000 US dollars? I was so offended, and more so offended because you never know how people perceive you. Like, so do I look like Boo Boo the Fool? Like, I must just look like a fool, like just a walking lick or something. Like, girl, I'm not giving you 1,000 US dollars for many reasons, but like, you cannot, even someone's close to me, you cannot hit me up today, right now, for $1,000 and then using like emotions to try to get a reaction or an outcome out of me. Like, I didn't appreciate that at all. And it really just turned me off. I mean, so obviously I'm like, well, I can't give you any money. Like, I'm can't do that. So, but it just turned me off because I'm like, why would you suggest such a thing from me? Like, why would you request such a thing from me? And then it also upset me because I'm like, I hate being in situations where it's like I'm always the go-to person. Like, both me and you. And another thing that offended me about this situation was because when we were having our talk, like the first time we met, I was telling her, because she's a single mom also. So I was telling her like everything I've done to get myself financially independent. And everything I say, she was just shutting it down. Like, she was not interested. She was shutting it down. She was making excuses. Oh, well, that's too hard. And oh, I got kids and da da da. And I'm like, well, yeah, I did too when I did this, but it's worth it. But everything, she was shutting it down. And that's another thing. Am going to stop sharing my dating process with people, because not with people, with women specifically, because every time I share my dating process, I'm always called like a pick me, or like, oh, I'm so stupid, or I'm so naive and gullible. So it's just like, just forget it. I'm not even going to share that anymore. But I remember like we were talking about like dating, like she's saying like, oh, have I started dating again and all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, I haven't been in anything so serious, just because I have been trying to balance everything out. But the most recent guy I was dating, I was telling her about him. Like, he was a really great guy, and we had a lot in common and a lot of fun. And he really was, had like provider qualities, all that stuff, everything that you could think of for like a guy that you would want. He was that. But he just wasn't like my guy. I don't know if it makes sense. But anyway, so I was trying to explain that to her. Like, he would help me with things. He was like, do things. We were close, we were da da da, but there were some major things that messed up that we weren't compatible on. So me personally, I don't waste time with men that I'm not going to marry. That's just the bottom line. So you could look great on paper, but I know that if you're not my man, I'm not going to hang around and spend so much energy or miss my opportunity with the guy who actually is my man. That's my dating process. But anyway, so even when I was telling her about that, she's like, oh, you're so stupid. Like, oh, if I had a guy doing that for me, like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. I'll never leave. Da, da, da. And it's like, no, one of the reasons why I had to get out that situation is because I knew that this wasn't going to be something long term. Like, he wasn't someone who wanted to get married again. And I was just going to always be in this girlfriend role with him. And for me, I'm not a good girlfriend. So it's hard for me to balance my life and create my own stability and security while also spending a lot of time with a man. And yeah, maybe you may throw a few hundred or a few $1,000s here and there, but you're not creating a life with me. You're not creating stability with me. And I can't afford to get off track in my life. Like if you're not trying to build a life with me, if you're not trying to be married with me and build something with me, then I'd rather just do it on my own until I could find someone who is, because I have responsibilities. I have a kid, and rather I'm married or not, there's still things that needs to be done. And I'm never going to look my son in the face and talk about I can't afford something, or oh, like anything like that. Like I can't afford big things like college or even small things. I'm not going to do that. So that's just my dating process. But anyway, so she was all like, oh yeah, like that's so stupid and da da da. And that's what really offended me. I'm like, I was literally telling you everything I did when I became a single mother, when I saw I wasn't going to get that support. This is what I did. And you shut down every single thing. But anyways, yeah. Okay, so let's define what light is in a goddess way. So your light is your energy, your flow, your joy, your peace. These qualities lead to a sense of well-being, connection to God, to the universe, and overall clarity. I believe that we're all born with these natural high vibrational qualities. But as we live, as life goes on, the world has a way of trying to dim those qualities. So that's why people who operate at these frequencies, they attract a lot of energy vampires, because energy vampires, they usually feel like they can't produce this energy on their own, this frequency on their own. So they're looking for people to attach to so they could feed off of them, if that makes sense. People who are low vibrational, they usually operate in feelings of fear, shame, anger, hopelessness. And this is why they attach themselves to people who operate high vibrationally, because a lot of times they feel heavy, they feel dense, they feel stuck. And when they see someone who's living boldly and fearlessly and walking in their purpose or not letting things affect them, this is attractive to them. That's attractive to anyone, whether you're high vibrational or low vibrational. The only issue is that people who are low vibrational, they feel they cannot operate at these levels. So it could either be triggering to them because they feel like they're falling short in an area. So they may try to attach to you to bring you down, or they know that they benefit so much from being around you that they don't have to put in that work that you have done to operate at those frequencies. So they'll just feed and eat off of you. And the term energy vampire, it is a bit harsh. These people, they're like that for a reason, right? Like I said, we're all born at these higher frequencies. When you see children, they're very energetic, they're very hopeful, they're very creative, they're full of love, they're full of light. But as we grow older, things could start to dim that light. So we do want to have compassion for people who operate at low vibrations, But at the same time, you cannot be their source. So think about the last time that you were around someone and after that interaction, you feel drained, you feel low, you feel bad about yourself. And then also think about a time that you were around somebody and you feel rejuvenated, you feel energetic, like they fueled you up. That is a great way to know who is an energy giver and who is an energy taker. Being around energy givers is just the most beautiful thing because it's like I pour into you, you pour into me. It's this cycle of us just feeding each other. It's very nourishing. Being around energy vampires or energy takers, you're like a extension cord. Like you're like the source that they're just plugging into just to take what they need and then go about their way. So when you deal with these people, you usually have to go back in solitude and like build yourself back up through our source before you can interact with them again. Energy vampires are like parasites. They just come, they just take, they just eat, they just feed off of you until there's just nothing left for you to operate in. They have no vision of their own, no creativity, no new ideas or anything of their own, but they attach to you and use yours. We see a lot of examples of energy vampires or the parasitic type of relationship in the dynamic of a high vibrational woman and a low vibrational man. And usually that looks like the woman before she met the man, she looks great, she feels great, she's high vibrational, she's happy, she's operated from joy. And when she gets with this guy, her looks start declining. Maybe she starts gaining weight or just not putting much effort into her appearance. She's usually not as happy or things like that like she was before. We see that a lot. Even a few months back, there was a trend of women who are saying, oh, people ask why I'm not in a relationship, but this was me in my last relationship. And like, she just looked like a completely different person, like just ran down to the ground. You know, so we have seen a lot of examples of that. And oh, it seems funny and things like that, but that is really true. The wrong person in your life feeding off of your light can be very detrimental to you. But what we don't see or don't talk about very often is when there's a high vibrational man and a low vibrational woman. Now with this, it's a little harder to pinpoint because men are natural leaders, right? So he brings a woman into his life who is like a parasite. It's not as easy to detect because naturally he is a giver, right? If he's operating his masculine energy, he's naturally a giver. But what I noticed in these dynamics where we have a high vibrational man and a lower vibrational woman is that a lot of his ideas, she's riding the coattail of it. So like I said, it's hard to pinpoint because yeah, if you're supposed to support your man, you're supposed to be by his side and things like that, but she's usually not pouring into the situation, but she's usually taking a lot from the situation in a parasitic way. So not in a way like, okay, yeah, my man, he's the provider and he does primarily the providing for our family. I'm talking more on an energetic level. So a lot of times when the lower vibrational woman gets with this man, she holds on really, really tight for one, because she knows that she doesn't have many opportunities like that. Secondly, she's also a bit in competition with him. So with everything that he does, like she's trying to do the same thing, trying to package herself as his perfect match. So she knows energetically she's not his match. So it's a lot of mirroring, which is usually highly manipulative. It's a lot of lower vibrational things going in to keep him committed or controlled in those situations. And she packaged herself as his perfect match by mirroring him. So she'll likely look a lot better when she gets into those situations. She'll dress and take on an aesthetic that's closer related to his aesthetic, whatever he needs at that moment. And especially if he's younger and he's growing with his identity, you'll see that she'll take on whatever identity she needs to look like his match, although it's not authentic. And a lot of times with these men, because they're the ones getting drained from, their looks change, or they start struggling with addiction or mental health issues or things like that, because they're being manipulated or drained from in a spiritual way that a lot of them are usually unprepared and not protected from. And you'll notice it more when the guy wakes up and he separates himself from this situation. The woman who was being the parasite in that situation, her looks decline, her aesthetic change, because she has nothing else to mirror now. It wasn't authentic, it wasn't her identity. So she's like scrambling. So she went from being, like this baddie type of aesthetic to dressing like a first grade teacher or something like that. Like, you'll see a very dramatic change in her appearance because she doesn't have him to feed off of anymore. She doesn't have him to mirror anymore. Those situations are usually very dark and sinister, because a lot of women who operate like that operate in witchcraft, and they do a lot of dark things to control men, and the men suffer usually through addiction and mental health. So let's go over some ways we can protect our light. And the first thing I'm going to say is give people the opportunity to help you. So if you are a high vibrational person, a highly capable person, someone who naturally had to figure things out for themselves, you likely have taken on a personality of, fine, I'll just do it myself. So sometimes it's not that we're around people who are only trying to take from us and can't help us. It's that we have created our own barrier that we don't even trust people to be able to help us. So we're our own problem in that situation. Give people the opportunity to help you. Maybe they won't do it as quickly as you'll do it, or maybe you have been a person who have struggled with rejection or abandonment. You think someone's going to let you down or whatever the case is. But if you want to get out of that role of always being the go-to person, of always being the person who's feeding other people but never being fed, then you have to slow down and you have to trust the people around you to be able to meet your needs. Because you have to understand, those people also are not used to seeing you in a situation of needing something. Although their intentions can still be pure, they don't know how to help you because they've never been in that situation where they had to help you. So relax, give people the opportunity, ask for help, tell people what you need, and give them the opportunity to help you. The next way is to budget your energy like you'll budget a bank account. Now, I'm really good at this. That's one thing. Any situation I enter, I mentally prepare for how much energy I can give this situation. If this situation is requiring more energy of me than I have budgeted to give, I'm not giving it. And it's simple as that. If I don't have that to give, I'm simply just not going to give it. So you want to put your energy in categories. You go to work one day and you have already budgeted, okay, I'm going to work, I'm going to be here for this many hours, and this is what I can do, right? This is the energy that I'm allotting for work. And you go there and they throw in an extra project or want you to train someone or whatever the case is. It's up to you to say, hey, I'm not going to be able to do that today. Maybe we could do it XYZ, but you cannot accept everything that's being thrown at you and then also feel angry because it's being thrown at you. You can advocate for yourself. You don't have to be in situations, or you don't have to give energy that you have not planned to give. That's the only way you're going to set strong boundaries for yourself and you're going to feel happy with yourself. If you're a woman, if you're a mom like I am, then you can't just go and just place your energy everywhere, because you also have to make sure you have that energy for your children. So when you go into situations, if someone is expecting more of you than you have planned to give, you have to stand up for yourself and you have to advocate and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to do that. And I know it's a lot harder said than done, but once you get used to it, it'll become a lot more easier. And of course, no one likes hearing no. Of course, no one does. But at the end of the day, we have to share in the uncomfortableness. What you're asking me is making me uncomfortable, and what you're asking is making you more comfortable. So we have to find someplace in the middle, because I can't give you everything to feel comfortable if that's going to make me uncomfortable. We have to share in this uncomfortableness. My favorite way of protecting my light and protecting my energy is viewing my energy as a jewel. So I view my energy as a jewel, like right here in my heart space. And it's very well protected. So it's kind of in a vault. That's the best way to explain it. So it's this jewel and it's in a vault. So when I meet people and they have that energy where I know they're trying to pull more from me than I could give, it doesn't matter, because there's nothing you could do to truly take this. I've already budgeted what I could give to this situation. So no matter what you do, no matter what you try to take through manipulation, witchcraft, or whatever the case is, you're not going to be able to touch my light. It's under a vault. So operating in that way and visualizing your light that way, it lets you go into the world and still be very free, still be very open, still be very childlike, because you know that you're protected. You know that no one can take advantage of you, no one can take anything from you, no one can drain you, because your light is under lock and key and no one has the code for it. You know where to go. You know how to go to source to build your light up, and you know how to protect your light from those who may try to steal it. If you want to be a person who vibrates high and continually vibrates high, no matter how old you get, and not be bound down by bitterness and disappointment, you have to protect yourself and still be able to go out into the world and be open. Like, you have to find that balance. You don't have to be closed off and, oh, rough and tough and da da da. Oh, no one's going to take advantage of me. No one's going to take advantage of you, because you know what you possess. You know how to protect it. So you could go out into the world and walk into your purpose and your light just how God intended, without being paranoid or without hiding or dimming yourself because you're afraid that someone can take something from you. And I'm only saying that because I used to struggle with that. I used to struggle with, I knew that I had something, that I possessed something, but I didn't know the depth of it. But as I started learning myself through God and who I was in Him and things of that nature, and learning how to protect myself, then it's like, there's nothing that you can do with me. You can't steal or take or manipulate anything that I have going on, because I know how to protect my light. I know how to grow my light. So I could walk around this world and I can be open and I could be ditzy or whatever the case is, delusional, whatever the case is, because I know that I'm protected. All right, y'all, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe and leave a comment below if anything stood out to you in this episode. If you're listening from the podcast streaming platforms, leave a 5-star review. And just remember, your light is your currency, and the right people will magnify your light. They will not drain and take from it. All right, so until next time, bye.